Hey, everybody. Good to have you here today. Listen, okay, it looks like this has not been officially announced, but I'm about to show this to you. This is being announced on WFLA that Derek Chauvin has been arrested in the death of George Floyd. Let me share this out so you all can watch this live with me. It appears they have arrested Derek Chauvin in the murder of George Floyd. He was arrested in Florida. He has a vacation home in Florida. So here we go.
We have Officer Derek Chauvin being taken into custody in the city of Minneapolis. Many of you
Oh,
have
in
been wondering
Minneapolis. Okay.
where Officer Derek Chauvin or former Officer Derek Chauvin had been since this all occurred, since the death of George Floyd occurred on Monday. He has been in the city of Minneapolis, apparently the arrest occurring here in the city of Minneapolis. Really curious, want to get as many responses here as possible here in the Facebook Live comment section. I'm going to ask our digital content team to help us pin a comment for asking for live comments from you, wherever you're watching from. For those of you who've never been with us here before on WFLA Now, you use the hashtag HeyJB. Here you see it on the yellow stripe beneath my name. We read through some of your comments, some of your reaction. Derek Chauvin's been arrested. However, many more questions remain. What are the charges? Charges have not yet been announced. We're awaiting a press conference. We're awaiting new details on what charges, or is it a singular charge that Officer Chauvin is facing? Also, the other three officers that were there on scene. We have in multiple camera angles, you see that there are three officers, including Chauvin, who are holding George Floyd down to the ground. Meanwhile, a fourth officer eventually starts paying attention to the bystanders on the street that are taking the cell phone video that has now gone viral across the internet, sparking all of the outrage and unrest in the state of Minnesota and beyond. Other states also seeing protests as well. So you can use the hashtag HeyJB, everybody. I'm going to be rereading through some of the comments that we have here on WFLA's Facebook page. This is, again, a developing story, and we might be getting, really in the minutes ahead, we might be getting new details as they come in on Chauvin's charges and whether or not there are going to be charges filed against those other three officers at the scene that were responding to this report of forgery/fraud in Minneapolis. What do you think, everybody? This is news that
This is
so
amazing.
many of you
This is great.
have been praying for.
Yes.
News that you have been begging for. News that you've been pleading for the last 48 plus hours. Since the video went viral itself. There was a lot of people wondering, myself included, whether or not we were going to go through the weekend. How many more days would it be before we had an announcement on whether or not there were going to be charges filed? Was this going to continue into Friday night, Saturday, early Saturday morning? Was this going to continue into Saturday night, Sunday morning? This has captured the attention of every state across the country. This has captured the attention of an international audience. We've had people on WFLA Now commenting from other countries that they're following this story. President Trump tweeting multiple times referencing George Floyd's death. What do you think?
I think it's great, guys. I know you all feel the same way.
Rose Latham doesn't seem the WFLA Top Facebook fan using the hashtag HeyJB. Can they sue the police force for negligence since they let him stay on the force from previous infractions? My goodness, the history of Derek Chauvin is now going to be picked apart even more under the microscope as to whether or not this is an officer who had been following his training, following police protocol, what they teach you to be an officer of standard or high standards at the Minneapolis Police Department. His record has already been picked apart by media agencies. His record on the line, even more so in the days, weeks, months, years ahead. Again, reacting to the breaking news, everybody, that Derek Chauvin, again, the officer, former officer, but officer at the time of this video, seen placing his knee and pushing down, putting all of that pressure down right here on George Floyd's neck, even for several minutes after George Floyd goes unresponsive You hear in the first few minutes of the video, if you've watched it, it is chilling, it is haunting, it stays with you. I've talked to so many people about it. This is a video that stays with you because you're watching the end of someone's life unfold right before your eyes. The beginning of the video, you hear George Floyd call out, "I can't breathe, let me stand." Just wants to be able to breathe as he's being arrested by Minneapolis police on the streets there. And then he goes about halfway through the video, roughly halfway through the video, it gets eerily silent. You still hear, of course, the people who are recording the cell phone video that has since gone viral, this video. You hear them calling out in protest, but you don't hear anything else from George Floyd. He goes unresponsive, but yet Officer Chauvin, as pictured here in the video, continuously places his knee and applies pressure with his knee down on George Floyd's neck up until paramedics get him up on the gurney and into the ambulance, at which a short time later he's pronounced dead. It's haunting, it's chilling. What do you think, everybody, in response to the news? What we're gonna try to do is I'm gonna just kind of pin a comment here, everybody, really quickly. If you would like for me to read your comment in response to this news, again, on WFLA Now, our interactive streaming platform here, we use the hashtag AJB. It signals to us that you would like for us to read your name and your comment aloud here in the Facebook Live comment section.
So to those of you who are coming into the room, the breaking news is that Derek Chauvin has been arrested in the death of George Floyd. And as I told you all about 30 minutes ago, we were awaiting a news conference from Mike Freeman, the district attorney in Hennepin County up there in Minneapolis. Apparently, he has been arrested, and they did that real quietly before the news conference. So I'm assuming he's going to come out, announce the charges, and we'll know if the other officers will be arrested, especially Tal, who stood by and guarded this man while he was literally killing George Floyd. So I'm going to just let this play here, guys. Shout out to all of you guys in the chat. I see you guys. We're streaming across all platforms right now. And okay, Queen, will do. All right, let's listen in some more on this, guys.
Just saw a hashtag AJB comment. WFLA top Facebook fan, Jan Daly. Hi there, Jan. Thanks for watching. Hashtag AJB. If they had arrested all of the officers the day it happened, a lot of what has happened since could have been prevented. We heard from U.S. Attorney for the state of Minnesota, Erica McDonald, yesterday talk about how there needs to be a process that's followed to ensure that it's not just an arrest, it's not just charges filed, that they have a conviction. Prosecutors, again, they are graded upon not the charges they filed, but the convictions they get. And they had to go about this, according to them, the FBI special agents and the U.S. Attorney for the state of Minnesota and the DOJ, they had to go about this the right way to ensure that these charges stick.
You guys know while we're going to have some interruptions sometimes.
So that was a little bit of their explanation yesterday as to why they didn't have charges filed even yesterday. As a reminder, they were supposed to have a 4 o'clock press conference yesterday, and something, we don't know what it was, something delayed it almost an hour and 40 minutes behind schedule. And there had been speculation that began to pour out on social media that the delay was charges being filed. That turned out not to be the case. And here we are a day later, around lunchtime today, this Friday, May 29th, the same week that we lost the life of George Floyd on the street here in Minneapolis. The same week we have the arrest of Officer Derek Chauvin. But what are the charges? What will the other officers involved face going forward? We're not going anywhere. We're going to stay here with you live on WFLA Now. Let's get to... I'm going to kind of go rapid fire here, read through some of the comments. Again, we will not be reading any of the hashtag AJB comments that have inappropriate language. Christopher Dickman, hashtag AJB. Now they need to arrest the others and not mess this up. That's the comment there from Christopher. I'm going to read through these a little bit more quickly, everybody. WFLA Top Facebook fan Carol Alford. Hey there, Carol. #KJB. Good they got one. Good they got the one who killed him, but the other three are guilty of not stopping this. It is so sad and so unnecessary. Delinda Madrigal. #KJB. We definitely need a conviction now and the other three arrested. Sharhanda Lee, #AJB, will the other officers be arrested? We are following all of the Minneapolis officials and all the Minneapolis news outlets trying to find out, does it stop here? Or is this just the beginning of the arrest of the charges being filed? Could it be in the days or weeks ahead that we have subsequent arrests? Or could it possibly be that they arrest and charge Derek Chauvin, but not arrest and charge the other three officers? Sharhanda, we're all going to be finding this out in real time as it occurs out of the state of Minnesota. Sheila Smith with a comment that I've been wondering, and whether or not we're ever going to have it. Sheila Smith, #AJB, where's the footage of Chauvin being arrested? We want to see that, just like we have to keep seeing George Floyd dying in the street. Will there be video? Will there be what is referred to so commonly in the media, or has been referred to in the media in the past, as a perp walk? A perp walk, when you see someone being arrested and being escorted to booking.
Okay, I do have another update really quickly, guys. Derek Chauvin, though we are confirming that he has been arrested. The other three officers who stood by have not so far. Several law enforcement sources are saying that the reason they are now going to have a 2-hour delay on the news conference, so they've now pushed the news conference to 3:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. So we won't see the district attorney's news conference for another few hours. But apparently it's been pushed back because they're deciding on whether charges will be filed against the other three. That's the latest that I have so far. So let's watch a little bit of this. I will probably be ending this and coming back as I'm getting some work done on internet service here. I'll be able to get on a faster stream, and hopefully a lot of these disruptions will stop. So anyway, guys, let's get back to listening to this. But yes, we can celebrate that Derek Chauvin has been arrested.
When they have their hands behind their back and they have, it's a very, very public display. Some cities and some law enforcement agencies do what is, again, referred to as perp walks, where they'll even invite the media to come out and say, hey, we're transferring this person for booking. If you want to show up with your cameras, by all means, come on down, hit the record button, and you have video for the news. I've been in several cities in my reporting career that have allowed that allowed perp walks and media alerts for perp walks. I don't know if we're going to see the video of Derek Chauvin being arrested, or are we going to see the visual in Derek Chauvin, or the visual of Derek Chauvin with handcuffs behind his back? I will tell you what we absolutely will see. That's the mugshot. It's just a matter of time before we have the mugshot for Derek Chauvin. And that will be public record. That will be released as soon as the booking process is complete. You can expect a mugshot by the end of the day. Whether or not we see the actual arrest taking place and where the arrest actually occurred, all we know is that the arrest happened in the city of Minneapolis. We don't know any more specifics other than that. But again, he had invoked his Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination. So it's a reminder. Christina L., this is #KJB. This is a start. And I you know what? I lost it. They're coming through so quickly. I'm sorry, Christina. I was just reading it and I lost it. But your comment there was, this is a start. This is a start, was what I was able to read. Let's see here.
Yes, we want a perp walk and a mug shot. We sure do, Queen. But they're not going to give us that.
Lee Tyler, we talked about this yesterday on WFLA Now. Lee Tyler, #AJB, just think of all the others before cell phone videos allowed us to get justice.
Yes. They're not going to perp walk him, Queen.
This is not the story that it is today. without the cell phone video. And multiple cell phone videos. We have multiple angles. People knew what was going on in the street that day was wrong.
You know,
and they got out their phones and they started recording.
Who agrees with this
right
comment?
So
who agrees with this comment by Michaela Chell? See, Michaela, I've seen some of your comments yesterday, and I know that you're not for the rioting and everything that's happened, and I don't think anybody is. But does anyone think that this man would be getting charged right now if it wasn't for all of the protests and things that have happened? Like, what is your opinion of this comment? I'm curious. Y'all let me know in the comments. Now I'm going to continue here.
Public property. As long as you're not, running across someone's front lawn on private property or
I want to know what y'all think about that comment.
If you're on public property, you have by all rights, by the rights for you as an American, you're allowed to take out your cell phone and record what you wish. Now there are certain restrictions in certain areas, and we'd have to do a multi-hour conversation on where you are and aren't allowed. But again, public property, and they were within their rights to get their phones out. And now we have the George Floyd story that has caused the outrage, that has caused the chaos in the city of Minneapolis and the city of St. Paul. That's why we're talking about this today, is because of this video on your screen.
He has been arrested. Yes.
Again, reading some more of the #HJB comments that are coming in. I know that so many people out there, this is such an emotional story, and this is an emotional response for you, and it's an emotional time for the United States and watching what's happening in the state of Minnesota. Tammy Wernet, #HJB. I'm glad one got behind bars. The other, the one.
Hey, Maturish.
The one that killed it. Will he stay behind bars? Will there be bond? Will there be?
Jerica, they're trying to decide now. That's why they delayed the news conference.
His initial court appearance.
So just again, for those of you just joining and those of you out on Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, we were going to have a news conference with the district attorney of Hennepin County, Mike Freeman. He has delayed that to be 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, because apparently the reasoning is they're deciding on whether to bring charges against the other 3 police officers, former police officers. So we don't know yet what's going to happen there. But even CNN is now announcing that Derek Chauvin has been arrested. So we were absolutely right on top of this one today. I knew something was up whenever they said there was a major development coming. By the way, guys, 5-star general is in Minnesota right now, is in Minneapolis right now. I'm waiting on him to call me back. Hopefully I can hook up with him and discuss what he has seen up there. But let's continue listening in. This is great news.
Will he be allowed to bail or bond out? We don't know, but I think it would be quite surprising if he was able to. Let's see. You know what? I don't want to comment on that too specifically, because we're here in the state of Florida.
They did it real secretive.
We're well versed with Florida law than we are with Minnesota law, and I don't know what the exact protocol policies and whether or not Derek Chauvin is going to be able to make bond or make bail upon the charges becoming formal. But will he be held? Will he be in a jail cell as this process carries out? Or will there be an extremely high bond or bail amount set?
Much love, Bama girl. Yes.
From the Minneapolis Police Department, everybody. He is no longer carrying a badge. He is no longer carrying a city-issued firearm. Of course, does not have, in that perspective, in that arena, privately, but.
Exactly. That's what it took.
Solo Williams, #AJB. They're just trying to stop the protests. They're just trying to stop the riots. He has not been charged.
Yep, I have that information. We will talk about it later.
The arrest has been made, and we're told that he is in custody. The charges are going to be announced, and we're going to get details on the charges. How much the process was
Shout out to Bama
was
Girl
impacted
Blogs.
by the powerful visuals of what has transpired and the chaos that has transpired overnight in the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul and the state of Minnesota. We'll never really know. But we were talking about this yesterday. How far was this going to continue the investigation before charges were filed? How far was this going to go? Was this going to continue through the weekend? How many more nights of protests and of demonstrations were there going to be? Nights of violence on this, as much as religious leaders, political leaders, state leaders, local leaders can call for peaceful protests. When you have a story such as this one that has invoked such an emotional response, people who are so disgusted and find it so, watch the video and see the actions themselves of Minneapolis police unfold on that Monday. People are going to continue to behave in the way, I mean, as much as there's been calls for peaceful protests, there were calls for peaceful protests yesterday. So many calls from high-ranking officials and from highly respected members of the community, and yet we still had the fires, the arsons overnight, and the situations of looting and the situations of some violent occurrences. So how long was it going to continue?
Okay, guys, just really quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it appears that news conference may be a little quicker. TMZ is now reporting they're going to start their live stream at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard. That would make it 1 o'clock p.m. Central Standard. That's in about 10 minutes from now. So let's continue to watch this, and we'll go from there. But yes, Derek Chauvin has been arrested.
It's this Friday, May 29th, and we have
Please
an
share
arrest,
the video.
charges to
Let's
follow.
get this news out everywhere.
Katrina Jones, hashtag AJB. I need a charge, I need a conviction, and I need an appropriate sentence. And Katrina there put appropriate in big capital letters.
This is
Scotty Hardaway, hashtag AJB. What about the police officer helping start the riot at the AutoZone, or how it takes for Black to act out for us to get justice? I think you meant to say tired of talking. Y'all don't hear us when we speak. That's the comment there from Scotty. Again, I'm trying to read these in real time, everybody, but I will not be.
There is discussion of a police officer. I have the information. Queen gave it to me, sent it over to me, and I've been hearing something about it. But apparently a police officer named Jacob Peterson started a lot of the vandalism in Minneapolis. I need to get more on this story. So that may be what that comment was referring to.
Any comments that have inappropriate language, as we've discussed time and time again here on WFLA Now. Jamila K, hashtag AJB. All of this could have been avoided if they were only arrested to begin with. Major Cobb, hashtag AJB. Every other outlet is saying taken into custody instead of saying he has been arrested. Thank you for not sugarcoating this story. So, arrested, the reports that have been handed to me here at WFLA say that he has been arrested and is in custody. And what you'll hear a lot of times in news verbiage is, instead of to repeat it over and over and over again, you'll hear it referred to as different time. Now, if he's, as we understand it, he has been arrested and is in custody. I haven't seen anything that basically states that he's been detained without an arrest, a formal arrest. So, but I'm keeping an eye on what we have here, everybody. I'm not sure if this is a press conference that's going to be beginning. I'm going to see if I can just get some quick up. Do we know what this is here? What is that? In Minneapolis? That's out of Minneapolis? Apologies, everybody. We're talking to our team. I'm sorry? Everybody, we're going to show you here quickly a shot of the podium everybody, for the press conference that is going to be getting underway here momentarily, as we're told. So this is what I was just talking about with our team members. Apologies there. So this is a shot, as we understand it, from Minneapolis for a press conference that's going to be beginning shortly. We don't know exactly. We haven't actually seen a time. Oh, here it is. Okay, hold on. I just got an alert. Starts at 2 o'clock Eastern. Okay, so 2 o'clock Eastern. County Attorney Mike Freeman will announce the major development in the death of George Floyd. Here, I don't listen in. I think they're just doing mic checks. They are just doing mic checks. Okay, 2 o'clock Eastern time. County Attorney Mike Freeman, who we heard from yesterday in the DOJ press conference, will announce a major development in the death of George Floyd. Again, starting from Minnetonka, Minnesota, at 2 o'clock Eastern time from KARE, our NBC sister station there in the state of Minnesota. So we're going to be bouncing back and forth, everybody, between the podium shot, but we don't expect this to begin anytime in the next 10 minutes or so. So we're going to show you this and keep this on screen periodically here over the next several minutes. But again, don't go anywhere. If you want to hear the charges, questions that are going to be asked from reporters, what's the update on the other 3 officers?
Yes, they did chill out. Yes, they
about
did.
10, 15 minutes time, so don't go anywhere. We're going to be keeping a very, very close eye on that podium shot out of Minnetonka.
We've got a news conference coming up here in just a few
in fact,
minutes.
Everybody,
by the District
stand by
Attorney.
For a moment. I just need to communicate with our team here and make sure that everything is good to go.
God, I hate this. Oh, this video is horrible. Yes, we've got a news conference coming up. I had got word that a news conference was a major development was going to be announced a couple of hours ago, and it got pushed back a little bit. But it looks like it's going to be happening.
News on WFLA now. Here's JB Buno.
JB Buno here with you live again on WFLA Now, everybody. We are going to be reallocating our digital resources. It's a fancy way of saying we are going to be ending one Facebook live stream for the sake of another. If you're joining us on the Facebook live stream that featured the Orange County Sheriff announcement that Officer Derek Chauvin had a home, or has a home, in unincorporated Orange County that is the site of protests going on in Central Florida, a secondary home, a vacation home that has seen demonstrations outside of that, what appears to be an empty house in the Windermere area of Central Florida. If you are on that Facebook live stream that began, I think, in excess of an hour ago, we are going to be ending that Facebook live stream here soon to prepare for another Facebook live stream. Again, the 2 o'clock press conference from the County Attorney Mike Freeman announcing the arrest, as we understand it, the arrest and charges to be filed against former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd. Again, show you a shot here of the podium. This is where we expect the press conference to be getting underway in 11 minutes time. So don't go anywhere. If you're with us on the second Facebook Live, the one that has about 9,000 or so people watching at this time, don't go anywhere. We will be staying with you here live on WFLA Now via Facebook Live to bring you the press conference as it occurs here from Minnetonka. So many questions, and we're going to get to, as we wait over the next 10 minutes for the press conference to begin, we're going to be reading some more of the hashtag HAV comments as they roll in. What are the charges? Will there be an arrest or charges against the other 3 officers involved in George Floyd's death? The 2 that were also holding him down, and the one that eventually went to the sidewalk to stand in front of cameras on the sidewalk there in the streets of Minneapolis. We're going to be finding out in real time in about 15 minutes from now. For those of you asking, and I want to see if I can bring this up. We might be able to bring this up. From Amy Klobuchar, a former Democratic presidential candidate.
Okay. Not sure if, okay, they just ended that live, and that is okay. Give me a second.
Not providing security for the home, but
I'm going to let this play for a minute, but y'all give me a second. I'm finding the
because of the circumstances, we're going to monitor the situation out there. And like I said, our top priority is the safety and security of everyone. And I have no doubt that the people in this community who have come to protest are going to do so peacefully, and we will let them do that peacefully.
All right. I'm going to share out another screen here.
I've been very clear about that. That video is upsetting to me as a lawman for 30 years.
Right. They went live again here. Let's go ahead and bring this up.
Has been processed. We don't know where we are. Melissa Bishop, #AJB. Do you think the other 3 will be arrested as well? It's not really within my, it's not my place to say whether I think that the 3 are going to be arrested. I will say this, and we've had this with several other stories.
He has been arrested.
Arrests don't all happen at once in so many cases. Similar to this, or really just any case in general. Arrests and charges come as they are, as police believe it's the appropriate time to move forward with them. So it's very possible that in the days ahead, we might get subsequent arrests of the other 3 officers that were there that day on the streets with George Floyd.
We've got about 160 people watching
Henry,
across all platforms. Y'all, please like the video, subscribe, and please share the video out. Let's get the word out. This is great news. We broke this news as soon as it happened, and very good day. So we've been asking for arrest, and we got it. The news conference with the DA will start soon.
What happened to the other 3? Everyone's asking about the other 3 officers, and we are awaiting the press conference to find out. Amber Hart Egan, #AJB. They should have arrested all 4 officers. And then I missed the rest of the comment because they're just scrolling so quickly, everybody. And apologies, I'm trying to read them as quickly as I can. Melanie Bryce, #AJB, has the city offered to pay his funeral costs in any way? The city, I haven't heard anything like that. I would imagine that with this much attention being paid and this many people who are seeing the heartbreak that the Floyd family is currently going through, I don't think that there's going to be much trouble in finding a way financially to afford for George Floyd to have a funeral that is appropriate and one that is meaningful for the family, that gives them closure and allows George to rest in peace. I don't think that will be a challenge. But has the city offered? I have not seen any even mention of that anywhere.
Okay.
November Love, #AJB. If the other officers don't get a major charge, they should be at least guilty by association. I will tell you that they are guilty in the court of public opinion, and we talked about this at great length yesterday. Social media has become the modern day court of public opinion, and as it stands right now, it's pretty uniform and universal across the internet that Derek Chauvin needs to be held accountable, and the other 3 officers also need to be held accountable. Here's the question that I think that there might be some divide on. Should Derek Chauvin? We're getting into hypotheticals here. We don't really usually do that on WFLA Now. They continue to do mic checks here, everybody. Does Derek Chauvin deserve more serious charges than the other 3? Or are all 4 officers, should they all face the same charges? That's where I think we start to see some difference of opinion on social media. Should Derek Chauvin and the others be held to the same? Is it a level playing field for all 4 of them as far as the charges go? Or should Derek Chauvin be facing the most serious charges of the 4? Maybe that's a question that we'll kind of dive into a little bit more after the press conference. Once we learn of, reporters listen, in this press conference, and we're getting a thumbs up here, they might be signaling this soon to begin, everybody. So for those of you just joining us in WFLA Now, moments away from our press conference beginning from Minnetonka, Minnesota, the George Floyd press conference after the arrest of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. We're going to be bringing that to you here live momentarily. But that's a question that we might really want to explore afterwards. And it's not for me, it's to offer an opinion on, it's for you. Based on what you have seen in the videos and all the angles and the evidence that has been played time and time again on Facebook and Twitter, what do you think ought to occur for the charges for the other 3 officers in relation to the charges against former officer Derek Chauvin. Everybody, we're going to go full screen here to the podium for a second I'm going to talk to my team about getting an update on the start of the press conference. Stand by.
Breaking news on WFLA now. Here's JB Buno.
The press conference scheduled to begin any moment here live on WFLA Now from Minnetonka, Minnesota. The announcement, as we expected, of the arrest of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd, seen in viral video, laying down, going unresponsive, as you see there in the video, the officer placing his knee and applying pressure down on George Floyd's neck for an extended period of time beyond Floyd going unresponsive. We are moments away from that press conference. Actually, there is the 2-minute warning. So really quickly, I'm just going to signal to our team here at WFLA that we are now at a So media at the site of the press conference here has been given a 2-minute warning for when the press conference is going to be beginning. And everybody, as we welcome a new digital audience here on WFLA Now, JB Buno here with you live. The news came down about 45 or so minutes ago, maybe actually closer to an hour now, that former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been arrested. He is in custody, and we're about to get new details. We have not been told of charges as of yet. We expect there to be either an announcement of charges or an explanation for the arrest, a little bit more in detail, a little bit more in depth here as the press conference gets underway. Also, the major question that many of our Facebook Live fans, our Facebook Live commenters, our WFLA Facebook fans are asking in the comment section, what about the other 3 officers that were there that day, the day that George Floyd died on the streets of Minneapolis? Will they face charges? Are they still investigating whether or not charges are warranted for those 3 officers? We might be finding out here in the moments ahead. JB Buno here with you live, everybody. We're staying here with the podium shot. The moment that we see somebody appear here, I will go away. We'll go full screen. We will be bringing you the press conference audio. In fact, I'll turn on the audio so we can just kind of listen in if they make any team there in the state of Minnesota. But again, Derek Chauvin has been arrested and is in police custody. And here we see really quickly, we'll just show you Amy Klobuchar's tweet a short time ago. Police officer Derek Chauvin has been arrested and is in custody for the murder of George Floyd, the first step toward justice. And again, the breaking news here is that they have announced a 2 o'clock Eastern press conference that will be beginning here momentarily. We are now at 2:06 Eastern time, so any moment we expect County Attorney Mike Freeman, I believe, to lead the press conference. We might hear from others, such as U.S. Attorney for Minnesota Erica McDonald, and some other officials with the FBI and the DOJ pertaining to the investigation and what has led to the arrest. What has changed between yesterday evening and today, or did they just need additional time to make sure that their investigation was thorough and that they were confident in the evidence that they had and that all the evidence they had was in front of them? We'll find out here momentarily, everybody, live on WFLA Now. Again, we've been reading through some of the comments, and we'll be getting to some of the comments using the hashtag HJB here momentarily. I want to remind you, as soon as the press conference concludes, we'll be back here for a post-press conference discussion. We might be, we'll likely be taking a lot of your comments here in the Facebook Live comment section. I think that was the 1 minute signal there from the photographer here behind the camera.
All right, it looks like
But after the press conference concludes,
we're about to do this.
we'll be getting
All right,
to a post
here we
press
go,
conference
guys.
discussion. Let's listen in here, everybody live.
We've got almost 300 people watching. Here we go.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman. I'm here to announce that former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is in custody. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been charged by the Hennepin County Attorney's Office with murder and with manslaughter.
Wow. Okay.
Questions?
Yes.
Wow.
Charge of murder.
He has been charged with third-degree murder.
Oh, come
We
on.
are in the process of continuing to review the evidence. There may be subsequent charges later. I failed to share with you a detailed complaint will be made available to you this afternoon. I didn't want to wait any longer to share the news that he's in custody and has been charged with murder.
What about the other 3 officers involved?
The investigation is ongoing. We felt it appropriate to focus on the most dangerous perpetrator. I must say that this case has moved with extraordinary speed. This conduct, this criminal action, took place on Monday evening, May 25th, Memorial Day. I'm speaking to you at 1 o'clock on Friday, May 29th. That's less than 4 days. That's extraordinary. We have never charged a case in that kind of time frame, and we can only charge a case when we have sufficient admissible evidence to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. As of right now, we have that. Give her a follow-up. Go ahead.
Many people, including the mayor, have said that any other citizen with the video evidence available would have been arrested and held while awaiting charges earlier. Why didn't that happen in this case?
We have charged this case as quickly as sufficient admissible evidence to charge it has been investigated and presented to us.
Mike, you were saying yesterday was communication of this going to take time. What's changed since yesterday and this morning, this afternoon, now we're seeing murder charges against Chauvin?
Fair question. We have now been able to put together the evidence that we need. Even as late as yesterday afternoon, we didn't have all that we needed. We have now found it, and we felt a responsibility to charge this as soon as possible. Folks, I'm not going to talk specifically about this piece of evidence or that piece of evidence. You will see, you all are veterans. I can only talk about what's in the complaint. You will see in the complaint the evidence and put it all together. We needed to have it all. Now, let me just quickly say we have evidence. We have the citizens' cameras, video, the horrible, horrific, terrible thing that we've all seen over and over again. We have the officer's body-worn camera. We have statements from some witnesses. We have a preliminary report from the medical examiner. We have discussions with an expert. All of that has come together, so we felt in our professional judgment it was time to charge, and we have so done.
Based on the officer's role in the video, what criminal statutes could apply to those officers if it's not murder?
I'm not going to speculate today of the other officers. They are under investigation. I anticipate charges, but I'm not going to get into that. Today we're talking about former Officer Chauvin, which we believe has met the standards we charge, and that's what we have done.
I've seen you charge other cases.
Whoa.
How closely did you look at the second-degree statutes, either intentional or unintentional, that on the surface seem to fit this the videotape evidence we've all seen?
We have looked very closely at all statutes. This is what we've charged now. Investigation is ongoing. We have more discussions to do with our experts. This is the same charges that we made when we charged former Minneapolis police officer Mohammed Noor. The exact same third-degree charge and manslaughter charge.
I've seen you charge cases faster. I've seen you charge
faster than 4 days. Are you saying that you've charged, this is the fastest you've ever charged a police officer?
This is by far the fastest we've ever charged a police officer, okay? Normally, these cases
should have did it even faster, in my opinion.
We have to charge these cases very carefully because we have a difficult burden of proof. And let me just say something about that. We entrust our police officers to use certain amounts of force to do their job, to protect us. They commit a criminal act if they use this force unreasonably. We have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. The Hennepin County Attorney's Office is one of the few prosecutor offices in this country in the last 5 years to successfully prosecute a police officer for murder. And we did that on behalf of Justine Damon. Okay, that's unusual. We know how to do this. We have a very veteran prosecutor group, aided by a very veteran investigator group at the BCA. On top of that, we've had great cooperation from the FBI and from United States Attorney Erica McDonald. And she may have some things to share with you soon, but she does that on her own timetable. I want to say to you that I'm very pleased about that level of cooperation, which frankly, I will say to you, doesn't necessarily happen in other jurisdictions, according to my friends and the national prosecutors. One last one.
That took months, close to a year. This takes days. Did public outrage play a role in the speed of this investigation?
I'm not insensitive to what's happened in the streets. My own home has been picketed regularly. My job is to do it only when we have sufficient evidence. We have it today. Mohammed Noor was a very difficult case.
Exactly,
we didn't
Brad.
have the kind of videotape we need. And we didn't, and there was all sorts of other evidence that took us a long time. We do our level best to charge each case when we have the evidence to do it. But we cannot, and I will not allow us to charge a case until it's ready. This case is now ready, and we have charged it.
I want to make clear that the complaint has not yet been signed. It's in process, and when it's done, when it's ready, we'll...
Good, thank you. Let me state on, so you have it. The complaint has been completed, and it is being processed now, and the signed copy will be made available to you today. Okay,
has you given a statement to the investigators or the other three?
All right. Let's listen in on a little bit more of this post news conference.
Breaking news on WFLA now. Here is JB Buno.
And that was Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman speaking there in Minnetonka, giving us an update. And this is still an ongoing situation. That was one of the things that they repeated in the press conference, but we now know the charges. And it's Derek Chauvin, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. County Attorney Mike Freeman there talking about the extraordinary speed at which they have made this arrest, in which they have filed these charges less than 4 days' time since it's been with the FBI and with the DOJ. It is the fastest that they have arrested an officer, according to the county attorney there, Mike Freeman. They say that sometimes that with making an arrest of a former law enforcement officer or of a law enforcement officer, we're talking about 9 months to maybe even a year. This one being made in 4 days' time and made by a veteran group of prosecutors, investigators, the entire team there in Minnetonka. Again, according to Mike Freeman, the Hennepin County attorney there. The question there at the end was the question I would have asked if I was in the room. Did public outrage contribute to these charges being filed this Friday, May 29th? Did the chaos that has now been erupting across cities like Minneapolis and St. Paul contribute to the speed in which these arrests were made? He said that my job is only to make arrests, only to file charges with sufficient evidence. Another great question that was asked by the reporters and the limited availability in the Q&A that we had here at the conclusion of the press conference was not just was there public outrage, but again, just going over my notes here, everybody. But what changed? Yes, what changed between yesterday and today? Remember, the major press conference yesterday by many officials with different linked departments in the state of Minnesota, but we didn't have an arrest yesterday. What changed between then and now? Yesterday evening, less than 24 hours ago, but yesterday evening and this afternoon, this Friday afternoon, May 29th, the same week that George Floyd was killed on the street of Minneapolis. Want to get your response, everybody, as promised, using the hashtag HeyJB. Want to hear from you here in the Facebook Live comment section. I appreciate some very kind comments coming in here. If I had been in the room, I would have asked a very, very similar set of questions, everybody. They're playing the tape back here, I believe. I believe this is a repeat of the press conference. Let's listen in for a moment.
Freeman, I'm here to announce that former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is in custody. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been charged by the Hennepin County Attorney's Office with murder and with manslaughter. Questions?
Yes, what charge of murder?
And then that was the moment, everybody. That was the moment that we had Mike Freeman. Very straight, very to the point, charged with murder, charged with manslaughter. Questions from Mike Freeman. And then they quickly got into the Q&A portion. And as you would expect, questions asked about the other three officers. And he said that at this time, they have the sufficient evidence to make the arrest of Chauvin. They do not have, apparently they don't have the evidence yet, or they are not at a stage in the process in the investigation to file any charges against the other three officers who have also been terminated by the Minneapolis Police Department. So this might be the beginning of this saga, everybody. There might be more arrests. There could be even more charges. You heard County Attorney Mike Freeman say that there could be subsequent charges filed against Derek Chauvin in the days or weeks ahead. It might not end with the third-degree murder and the manslaughter charge that was just announced. All right, let's get to some of the comments as promised. If you use the hashtag HeyJB, we talk about this all the time, and we're going to get into some other conversations here pertaining to what has transpired here in Florida with Derek Chauvin's Florida home here in Orlando. He has a vacation home down here. We'll get into a little bit of that. Also, when is the mugshot going to surface? We might be live here, and it could be moments from now we get the actual mugshot for Derek Chauvin's arrest. We could have that here in the minutes or hours ahead. So if we see that, we'll pass it along here to you. But let's get to some of the comments that are coming in. Angela Plooster, hashtag HAB. I understand the third degree after reading the definitions, but then do not agree with the manslaughter. They are conflicting. That is a secondary charge. Remember, you could be guilty of third degree murder, or excuse me, let me rephrase that. You could be not guilty of third degree murder and guilty of manslaughter. So that's why we have the charges that have been put forth by the prosecution here, the prosecutors, by the county attorney in this case.
Hey, Crystal.
Remember that if it's not murder and it's ruled to be manslaughter by a jury, by all means the jury should be able to proceed on the charges that they have available to them, and that's why we have the multiple charges here, everybody. Trisha Howe, hashtag HAB, have we heard any information regarding the services for George Floyd? I have not seen information yet. I understand that, of course, the magnitude of funeral services, it's just going to be so enormous. The outpouring of support, excuse me, everybody, the outpouring of support is going to be huge. So with a funeral service of this magnitude, a lot of planning has to go into it. If we hear anything, we'll pass it along here to you regarding those funeral services for George Floyd, who this time a week ago was alive. And here we are several days later. And now he's being viewed in videos of multiple angles, his final moments alive. It's a terrible and tragic and heart-sinking story. Katrina Wilson, hashtag HAB, Derek.
All right, guys, for just a moment here, I just want to, hold on a sec. I want to go ahead and just come on camera with you guys really quick and get a feel. I'm looking at all of your comments, and I'm going to just say, I don't think that this arrest would have happened if it wasn't for people burning the city down. I'm being honest. I'm only being honest. Right, as I've been saying for several days, riots are the language of the unheard. There's been several shootings and police killings in Minneapolis, all over the United States. And these protests started to spread outwards. Now, there was discussion and talk that Derek Chauvin was in his vacation home in Orlando. He was not. There's someone in the chat that was asking about it. Someone, South Park. He was arrested here, not here, but in Minneapolis. So apparently he was actually in that home that the National Guard was protecting. You know, I showed video of that. Now, I see many of you are not too happy about the charges that they have laid upon them. Now, let me just say this. This, I know, is not everything that we would want. We do. We want to see a first-degree murder charge against him. But that takes premeditation to prove that. You know, like you literally planned before, you know, I see that guy over there. I think I'm going to kill him. And, you know, you premeditate it. However, a second-degree murder charge, you know, as the reporter asked, did you even... Because to me, he intended to kill George Floyd. That was not, to me, that was not manslaughter. Now, why? Hi, George. Hi, everyone all over. We've got over 200 people, 250 people watching across multiple platforms. Welcome, all of you. Now, to put your knee on that man's neck for 8 minutes, while you know you're killing him, you know you're using a move that is not allowed by the police department. It was a blood move, as they call it, jiu-jitsu move. To me, he seemed like he was intending to kill George Floyd. So I really do believe they could go with a second degree. But right now, they've charged him with this third-degree murder, and they've charged him with manslaughter. And usually they do that because if a jury acquits him on the murder, they hope that they convict him on the manslaughter. It still doesn't feel like they are, you know, I know it seems like the charges may not fit right now, but we should take this as a win here. There's got to be some celebration here in this. I know many of you are very, very angry out there. I see it. I'm reading the chat. I see it from all of you guys. But how often do police officers even get charged when they kill somebody? The only reason this police officer got charged was the outrage that happened from it. So to those of you who feel like these riots were pointless, I don't agree. These riots are the reason why this man is sitting in jail right now, and we're waiting on his mugshot to come out. It's unfortunate to say that, but it's true. It's just true. Do you being murdered in a chokehold, an illegal chokehold? That case carried on for over 5 years. That man was never convicted. Of outrage that you have seen in the last, now this is the 4th day that I've been reporting on this case. Remember, George was murdered Monday night. Today is Friday. I didn't like how this district attorney was trying to give himself a pat on the back. He was trying to give himself accolades about, oh, we've never charged a man this fast. You know what? You should have did it faster. If you would have did this faster, I believe that a lot of these riots wouldn't have even happened. They burned the 3rd precinct police building down to the ground. We sat here And I live streamed it last night. Many of you were here with me as we watched the footage. The rioting was insane. Fires everywhere. It was on every news station. But, you know, we know there is a legal process. We know that. Work hard. We know there's a legal process. We understand that. But you have to understand that, you know, Black people, people of color, people, brown and Black people have sat here and watched our men, women, and children be murdered by police officers. Nothing ever happened. So you have to understand that there is going to be tension there, and we want immediate action. And here's the thing about it. If it would have been you, work hard, or me, or even the mayor of that city that would have put his knee, we would have put our knee on somebody's neck for 8 minutes and killed them, we would have already been charged. Within an hour of the police showing up, looking at the video, they would have had enough evidence. The issue here is cops do not deserve to have this blue line of protection around them. No, that needs to stop. I feel like police officers, if they kill someone, they should be charged with that crime. Let them fight it out in court. They make us fight it out in court. Well, they should be held to the same standard. I also think, and I was talking to TC about this on Bama Girls platform the other day, and this is something I've mentioned for a couple of years now, is that I feel like insurance cops should have to cover an insurance policy of some type, essentially that makes them financially liable should they murder someone. Maybe a financial hit to them will stop them from murdering someone so easily, knowing that all they got to do is fill out some paperwork and they go home for the night to their families. So this man, Derek Chauvin, is a cold-blooded killer. The look on his face, the hand in his pocket, like he was unbothered. You know, I'm going to say this, and I don't know how many of you may feel this way, but there is a photo of Derek Chauvin actually at a Trump rally. This is not the one with the hat. And I think about the fact that he would kneel down on the football field. And Derek Chauvin kneeled down on the neck of George Floyd. I want to show you a photo really quickly. This is apparently him at a Trump rally. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you like this. This is him at a Trump rally. That's him. So he's absolutely a Trump supporter. We know that. Not that it should matter, but in Trump's America, it does matter because I think many of us feel that Trump is a racist. You know, there's so much more to even discuss here. Shout out to my girl, Queen Supreme, who's in the chat right now. She is from Minneapolis. I'm sure she doesn't mind me saying that right now because she's been pretty open about it, but I would not have disclosed that until this time. She is in that area right now. And, you know, she sent me a couple of things I want to talk to you about. First off, look at Donald Trump's tweet, okay? Just let it clear. I can't stand back and watch this happen to a great American city, Minneapolis. A total lack of leadership. Either the very weak radical left mayor, Jacob Frey, get his act together and bring the city under control, or I will send in the National Guard and get the job done right. So basically, you're threatening people with murder. You're threatening violence. Our president. don't think you're listening, President. What the best thing that he could have did was picked up that phone, called that state attorney, Mike Freeman, and say, you need to charge these men with murder. That's all that people want. Do people realize that? That's all that people want, is to see the proper charges laid against these killer cops. These are what you call killer cops. Now, there's also a little bit more information about Derek that I want to share with you. Again, shout out to my girl, Queen Supreme. There are 12 police brutality complaints against Derek Chauvin in the Minneapolis Office of Police Conduct Complaint Database. They are all listed as closed, non-public, and no discipline. Chauvin and another officer were chasing a car in 2005, and they caused the death of 3 people, according to Communities United Against Police Brutality. Chauvin was also one of the officers who murdered Wayne Reyes, a Latino man, with 16 bullets forced into his body. A total of 42 rounds were shot off. Chauvin also shot Ira Latrell Toles, an unarmed black 21-year-old man, in 2008. Derek Chauvin was put on leave in 2011 for an inappropriate police shooting of Alaskan Native American Leroy Martinez. He is being represented by Tom Kelly, the same attorney who represented Officer Geronimo Yanez, who murdered Philando Castile and got him acquitted. Okay, so he's being represented by the same attorney. The restraint technique that Chauvin used to murder Floyd was not part of the department's training, and he murdered George Floyd on May 25th. What a hell of a resume, Derek Chauvin. What a hell of a resume. So in regards to the Florida thing, there was talk that he was in Florida, but he was not. He has been in Minneapolis the whole time. That's why we seen about 100 National Guards standing outside his home last night. So I want to get back to this live coverage, let you guys watch a little bit more of this live coverage, and then we'll go from there. But I'd like to go ahead and get back to showing this to you. But I wanted to share that information with you guys.
Portion of the thinking with filing a third-degree charge. So again, everybody, it's based on the legal definition of first-degree buildings, but demonstration should be done peacefully, should be done without violence.
Absolutely, Derek. Absolutely.
As loudly and as rambunctiously as possible without committing a crime.
Yeah, feel free to time out any trolls that are here.
And don't
hey,
just
Taurus
take that
vibes.
from
Look,
me.
we
I'm
got
echoing
an
what
arrest.
so many others have been
Got an
saying now in
arrest.
the last 48 hours. Again, getting to some more of the comments. We're going to stay here on Facebook Live for a little bit while longer. Everybody here on WFLA Now, streaming a little bit longer. We're streaming at WFLA's app, WFLA.com, and Facebook Live, where we're interacting with you in the Facebook Live comment section using the hashtag HeyJB. Arlene Rodriguez, hashtag HeyJB. How can we plead for them to stop when American history has taught us that violence yields results? Clearly.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. Let me redo that again.
That is not for me to answer. But I've seen that comment repeated in the comment section.
Moyet Hall, hashtag AJB. If Derek is third-degree murder and manslaughter, what are the other 3 going to get? A parking ticket charge? I know that you're saying that, with jest, Moyet, but it's a very serious question. Will those other 3 be charged? It sets a precedent for law enforcement agencies and law enforcement training across the country. The other 3 officers just standing by, not acting, not tapping Chauvin on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, why don't you go maybe cool off? Maybe why don't you go pay attention to the people with the holding up the phone and taking images on their snapping video on their phones. Why don't you maybe go deal with them? Well, let's rotate." If that could have been done, and we had Tampa Police Chief Brian Dugan say that is something that would have been encouraged in the city of Tampa, to give Chauvin here an opportunity to just maybe go just take a few steps away from the situation, de-escalate, remove himself from the high stress position that he was in, and maybe George Floyd would be alive if one of the other three officers had intervened in some capacity. Should the other three officers be charged? Should the other three officers also face third-degree murder and manslaughter charges? This is not for us to determine. It's for us to comment on, but it's to be determined by Minnesota prosecutors and Minnesota investigators. But it's for us to comment on. What do you think should happen to the other three officers? We now know what Chauvin's facing. Third-degree murder, manslaughter, maybe additional charges beyond that. What should the other three officers? We're going to end out on this on WFLA Now. What should happen to the other three officers? You basically have one of three responses. The same level of crime, the same level of offense as Chauvin, a more minor charge, a more minor set of charges, not as severe as what Chauvin did, but somewhere more, a little bit more beneath that, maybe perhaps just manslaughter and not third-degree murder. I'm just throwing that out there, or no charges at all. What do you think? What should happen to the other three officers? I'm gonna, if you use the hashtag HeyJB, I will read your comment out of the Facebook Live comment section here, everybody. We want to know. This is a story that has. We're all talking about it on social media anyway. We might as well talk about it with you. So let's get to the Facebook Live comment section. Rebecca Batdorf, hashtag HeyJB. If the leaders want us to believe them, then yes, they should be charged. Katrina Wilson, hashtag HeyJB. They didn't intervene because this was their plan from the get-go. Katrina, I don't think that any officers encounter a situation with the intent of killing someone. I'm just going to throw that out there. This is a terrible, unfortunate set of circumstances, and Chauvin's actions here really are inexcusable, especially now that we have the charges filed. They're inexcusable. And I only say that because remember that they had said that there might be other evidence that doesn't support a criminal charge. That was what they said yesterday at the press conference. So we didn't know if there was any other evidence that shed new light on the circumstances regarding the fraud/forgery situation that caused Minneapolis police to respond in the first place. But here we are. So what should happen to the other three officers, everybody? Again, it's not for us to determine. It's not our jobs. We're not Minnesota prosecutors. But your thoughts, your comments. Lorley Coker Jackson, hashtag HeyJB. Hopefully I said your name there right. Hashtag HeyJB. They heard him begging, saying he couldn't breathe. They are just as guilty. That's her comment. Ann Rallison, hashtag HeyJB. A civilian would be charged the same as the first one. Cindy Munt, hashtag HeyJB. They need to be charged as well. What they did was wrong. So I know that many of you feel that they need to be charged, but should it be the same level of charge? Should all four officers face the same set of charges? Is basically what I'm asking, and that is now a major question going forward. Antonio Cole, hashtag HeyJB. If I was with my friends and they commit a murder and I don't tell, would I not be charged with the same crime as an accomplice? That's the comment there from Antonio. Jonas Clint, hashtag HeyJB. Same level won't apply. While simplicity applies. Yes, why would a video taking citizen be arrested?
All right, if you're wondering, AZ, why you can't type anymore, you don't come up in here disrespecting the moderators of my chat. You don't go back and forth, fight. I've already been watching your comments, and they seem to come across kind of rude. Miss Elk, watch yourself. Watch yourself. You've been blocked as well, y'all. Please don't bring that bull crap into the chat. I would really appreciate it, okay? Now, we're going to watch a little more of this, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this stream.
Bryce McNabb, #KJB. Other officers should be charged with manslaughter, carelessness that resulted in the death of another human being. So that commenter there, Bryce, believing that the other officer should not face the murder charge, but should face manslaughter charges. Davy Mitchell, #KJB, minimum of negligent homicide, but in reality, if I'm an accomplice to murder, I get charged with murder. Ashley Jones Showell, #KJB, if I witnessed a murder and didn't report it, I would still be charged, right? Asking for a friend named George Floyd. I'm a little bit behind in the comments here, but I'm going to try to get a little bit more up to speed. Jamie Lavery, #KJB, Kim Move should be charged. Just from my perspective, I think that obviously the charges against the paramedics are far less likely. They are there in support of the officers, and yes, it's their job to save lives. We understand that. But remember, they are behind 4 responding officers.
Okay. Work hard. I am a very open-minded person. Don't sit here and tell us how we're looking at it, okay? All of us seen that video. I didn't know. It's not about being rude because you don't agree with me. Many people come on my platform that we don't always agree. Queen is probably my best friend here on YouTube, and we definitely don't always agree on things. But what you all need to understand is your mindset is exactly why we're in this position today, where we've got police officers killing people and they never get charged with the crime. So this is a good thing for us, and it's in what I just feel like your comment is wrong. I don't think anyone's rude because they don't agree with me. Okay, but all of these people coming in the chat trying to protect this officer, don't do that. This is just not the time. How can you protect someone that had his knee on the neck of a human being for 8 minutes, knowing that he was killing that human being? You can't protect that. You can't make that right to me. There's nothing, you can't sell that to me in any sort of kind of way. Put my face on camera and I'll tell you that. You cannot sell it. You cannot give it. We don't want it. What we want is justice. So you may not agree with people rioting. Okay. You may not agree with this charges and this like this. Okay. There's a couple of y'all coming up in the chat with that sort of sentiment. And I'm telling you right now, that's exactly why we're in this position now. And I'm telling you right now, we're done taking it. We are done allowing police officers to murder our husbands, wives, and children. Period. It's done. So I would expect that if this continues, people are going to protest. We want these officers to start getting the proper charges that they should get. Period. In the story. And, I'm sorry that some of you don't feel that way, that you feel more inclined to protect this police officer. I'm sorry you feel that way. But don't tell me I'm rude or I think you're being rude because I disagree with you. Because believe me, I disagree with you completely. I'm very happy about today's events. And I'm not angry really that much about the riots, because I believe that if those riots wouldn't have happened, Derek Chauvin would not be under arrest right now. And riots happen when you've had years and years and years and years of this type of exact police brutality, police killings. No one's listening. We're losing. You think about it. If one of your family members was killed by a cop who could have let him live, but decided, no, I'm going to keep my knee on his neck for 8 whole minutes, while bystanders pleaded with him to release his knee off his neck. If that was your family member, would you feel that way? Y'all can miss me. Anyone who supports Derek Chauvin, you might as well not even type in the chat. Is all I'm saying. So I think at this point, I've been online about an hour and a half now, and I just wanted to make sure that all of you were aware of what was going on. Thank you very much, Guillermo. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, he will be in protective custody. Are you kidding me? They would be at fault if they did not put him in protective custody, because every man in that jail would probably want to hurt him. We don't know how many people are sitting in that jail that he was arrested with. And another interesting thing I do want to point out here, I'm hearing that Derek Chauvin and George Floyd knew each other. They worked together at a security club. Now, how does that make you feel? The ones that keep on taking up for him, that he actually knew the man that he put his knee on his neck for 8 minutes. He worked with that man at a security club. How does that make you feel that he was able to kill that man? How does it make you feel to know this man has killed multiple people? I just told you about all the incidents that he's been involved in. He has 12. This guy should have been fired a long time ago. Period. End of story. So anyway, guys, yes, Regina, I did hear about the CNN reporter that was arrested. Apparently it was just the black one that was arrested. I'm not sure fully on that story, because I'm also hearing different things about that. And yes, not only is the major sports arena or venue there in Minneapolis, there's clubs that are no longer hiring Minneapolis police for their events just because of this type of stuff right here. So, hey, Elizabeth, hello. We were just talking about how Derek Chauvin has been arrested for murder and manslaughter. That's right. They've been doing this for decades. They never get punished for it, and now is the time to stop. So I know people are angry that this rioting happened, but you have to understand, and unless you've lived and seen these things, then you wouldn't understand, I guess. If you've never known anybody who's been lost by police killing, if you've never been pulled over or abused by the police in any way, you wouldn't quite understand some of the things that people are saying. And it's what they call white privilege, period. All right, guys. Much love. Okay, CNN does have an article on it. All right, cool. All right, guys, I'm going to end this live. This is a really good move today. I'm really glad that Derek Chauvin has been arrested for the murder of George Floyd. Now we need to find out what's going to happen to these other 3 officers. I would encourage peaceful protests. We got what we wanted, everybody. Ciao.